When people talk about Hollow Knight, they usually go for its music or the battle system, and they're completely right to do so. They're both amazing aspects that really set the game apart in the indie scene. But one thing that's criminally overlooked about Hollow Knight is its ability to tell a lore-heavy story without any huge cutscenes or dialogue, but instead making full use of being a Metroidvania to sprinkle the storytelling in various objects and small interactions over a gigantic map, making the player work hard to find all the clues and piecing together the full picture of the puzzle. The game contains dozens and dozens of small pieces of lore, and the smart thing about them is their different formats. You have statues and monuments, a few remaining locals to talk to, the locations themselves reveal a lot about the world, a few adventures are here and there with information of their own, and even small objects can tell the story of the former kingdom of Hollownest. The way they're spread seemingly at random, but still keeping level design in mind, along with their sheer variety, allow the exploration to feel organic but satisfying. You're finding what you can as you progress at your own pace. This investigation side is what relates so much to archaeology. You're doing a slow but steady work of finding information that all connects to each other, as you try to understand a place that doesn't really exist anymore. Not how it was, at least. The kingdom may still exist as a location, but now it's nothing but a dangerous wasteland. Relating it to archaeology may sound tedious to some, but as I said, Team Cherry pays very close attention to level design, and these elements are still about exploring an open map with all sorts of different abilities. The secondary goal of looking into the past to understand the present is just as fun as going around beating the enemies and bosses. We can see a huge contrast in storytelling power when we look at previous Metroidvania games. For example, Super Metroid still has aged well with an open world full of secrets and satisfying gameplay, but it's a game very devoid of story. We have the opening act, which shows Ridley capturing the last Metroid and running away, and after multiple hours of gameplay we go back to fighting Ridley again to find the capsule with the last Metroid broken. And then the next piece of storytelling is already the ending. It's still a compelling story in its own way, but the elements here are incredibly limited. We start to see a change in this dynamic in the Metroid Prime series, where we have this idea of using a Metroidvania's elements to its advantage and tell a story. There's pieces of lore everywhere, again using objects like statues and also enemies, but it's pretty direct. You have to keep your scan visor on practically all the time, and it's all about reading. Reading. Constant walls of text and some very missable objects. I absolutely love this aspect of the game, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't get tiring at times. But the idea is here. The story gets much more complex. It's super fun piecing the journals together and scanning objects to get more insight. Retro Studios also shows its ability to understand what makes a classic great, but taking it a step further. And the Prime series unmistakably elevates the Metroidvania genre with its own take on being a 3D game. Another game that Hollow Knight owes a lot from when it comes to this spread out storytelling is Dark Souls. Yes, I know everyone compares Hollow Knight to Dark Souls, but I don't mean the gameplay in this case, so I should be fine, right? Right? Now, I haven't played Dark Souls myself, but from what I understand, it's also a game with an incredible amount of lore and world building, but doesn't dwell on it. There's lots of little exposition here and there to explain the story, but the game also leaves whole chunks of details up to the player's imagination. To me, it feels like Hollow Knight leaves less room to guessing as the major plot points are more explicit, but the similarity is certainly here. And coming from a game that borrows much from Dark Souls, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case for the storytelling as well. And Hollow Knight is absolutely right to do so. It all fits Metroidvania so well. The genre is all about freedom over a map, choosing to explore whatever you want in the order you want. So what better way to add a story to it without making it linear? It's all up to the player now. You can choose to immerse yourself and look into every nook and cranny, reading every information you can multiple times to make sense of it all, or you can completely ignore it and blow right past all that jazz. or something in the middle I guess, but that doesn't sound cool. This freedom is a key aspect for the genre, and when you start to forget that, it makes you wonder if we're not moving to a different area. For example, one last time, Metroid Fusion is a game with a good, more complex story, but the game does this by making it incredibly linear. The power-ups are replaced for the narrative, which now dictates where you can go at any given point. So the exploration becomes more limited to what the game allows you to do. And don't get me wrong, I loved Fusion, it's incredible, but it definitely feels like an adventure game where you beat level by level. And it'd be fine if it was that too. But compromising the two ideas of an open map and a linear story wasn't a good solution, as they both severely limit each other. And now we can appreciate how Hollow Knight comes up with a solution that doesn't harm Metroidvanias. The spread out storytelling integrates seamless to it, as it feels like they were always together somehow. Players are even allowed freedom over wanting to know the story or not, which stays true to the essence of the genre. And as someone who has a lot of fun figuring out stories, let me tell you that it's super satisfying. My favorite part was collecting these little items and trade them over for money, while you also get some little pieces of lore as you get friends with this rambling old bug guy. It's such a unique and cool way to reward players. This attention to detail in Hollow Knight is what takes it to the next level, and it's really a one-of-a-kind experience to piece it all together, with the music and polished gameplay allowing it to become a full package. And that was that. Thank you very much for watching. Your support makes all the difference for me, really. I'm sure you know the drill, but a reminder doesn't hurt, so consider giving the video a like, commenting, and or subscribing. There's also some links in the description for my other platforms. Falou e até mais!